Welcome back to Atomic Diecast. In this video, I'm pulling from my flip-top funny car collection, and I took a quick glance at the display case this morning, and the Pepsi Challenger jumped out at me. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, I collect drag racing funny cars that Hot Wheels made from the late 60s through the mid-90s. And in those years, the bodies were pretty true in scale to the actual cars. They had a flip top so you could see inside, and they just were really neat. Then starting in the 2000s, Hot Wheels sporadically made bodies that weren't flip top. Some of the scaling looked almost comical, such as the front tires would stick out past the body's edge, and that's something you would never see on a real funny car. Now, Hot Wheels did a lot of really good, I think it was their Drag Demons series that they called them. They were higher end, premium type cars. Those were, very, very accurate to the funny cars of the 60s and 70s and even 80s. So those were neat. I do buy those. They're not part of my funny car collection per se that I've got in a separate display case, but I've got quite a few of those, and those are still on the card. So this is the Pepsi Challenger, and it's done on a 1977 Plymouth Aero body. And it's loosely based on Don Prudhomme's Army-sponsored Aero car from the mid to late 70s. Prudhomme did have a Pepsi Challenger funny car in the 1980s. I think it was like from 82 through 85, but it was done on a Pontiac shell. So this is a bit of a hybrid. That being said, I'll talk about the specs on Prudhomme's 77 Aero Army-sponsored funny car. It had a supercharged Keith Black nitro-burning Hemi that made about 2,000 horsepower. Now, that sounds like a lot, but modern funny cars make a little over 10,000, so they've come a long ways in the past 40 years. But his 77 car would consistently run in the low sixes at 240 plus mile an hour. Getting into all of the history of Prudhomme in that era of funny car racing isn't best done here. There's just a lot to it. But I mentioned Don Prudhomme because he has a real connection to Hot Wheels. In 1969, fellow racer Tom the Mongoose McEwen saw that his kids were playing with newly released toy cars, and those cars are what we know and love as Hot Wheels. Tom approached Don the Snake Prudhomme to see if Mattel, if they together could get Mattel to sponsor their funny cars. And let me stop and just say, hopefully you get the snake versus mongoose angle. And in real life, mongooses eat snakes. That's why Tom McEwen went with that gimmick. Anyways, Hot Wheels at first balked at the idea, but eventually they saw the potential, and they sponsored both funny cars, and the rest is history. I mean, both Prudhomme and McEwen had the big Hot Wheels logo right on the side of their funny cars, and that campaign helped Mattel ramp up the sale of these little cars. They really took off in the 70s once they got involved in drag racing. Now again, this casting is a bit of a hybrid. It is a core 77 Aero funny car. It came out in 1978, and it was Prudhomme's Army version. They did it again in 1979. In that same year, they added a Human Torch edition in black. The Human Torch, I guess, I don't know if it was a comic book character or not, but I think that was part of the angle. And then they took a couple of years off, and in 1982, I guess they wanted to do another funny car. So they came out with this Pepsi sponsorship that Prudhomme had in 82, but they used the old Aero body. And it looks pretty good. I think of all of the cars that they've done, on the Aero casting, this is one of my favorites. What is odd, though, is the same year, namely 1982, they did a Pepsi Challenger that did not have Prudhomme's name on the side like you see here, nor did it have the snake logo right above the Pepsi emblem on the hood. I don't know if that's due to naming rights or not, but the non-Prudhomme marked car is a much harder version to find. I've seen numbers somewhere like in the order of 10%. Only 10% had the missing Prudhomme badging. All of the Pepsi Challengers from 1982 came out of Malaysia. And I'd flip the body on this one to show you the interior, but the body doesn't go up that high, and I really don't want to force it. I think I could get it up a little bit further than it goes, but again, I don't want to press my luck with this and break the Zamac. But inside, basically, there is an interior that is comprised of a roll cage around a seat. There's the blown engine, and there are, of course, the zoomy pipes, the exhaust pipes that you see sticking out the side. It also has a fuel cell up front close to the nose. So inside, I mean, there's a fair amount of decal. The wheels are obviously the old 5SPs, which were common to those years. And the car, I did weigh it. It weighs a whopping 62 grams. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's a big body. There's no rear window. And the entire base, including the interior features I just described, are all Zamac. So it's a heavyweight. Okay, we'll do a roll test. Not sure how this one's going to do. The front wheels, like so many cars of that era, are pretty loosely fit to the axles. There's a lot of end play, meaning they can slide in and out from the center line. But anyways, we'll see how it does. So here goes number one. All right, almost three. Here's number two. Body keeps wanting to flip up. All right, that sounded like something dragged. I don't know, front axle or what, but 2.5. And the last one, see if we can get another 3. Yeah, 3.5 or almost. Pretty good. A lot of wheel shake. Not uncommon for cars of that era. But anyways, thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll have another video here in a day or two.